St. John people. Hope you're doing well today. I've been thinking about the catchphrase that St. John has had for the last few years, commitment to community. You may have seen it on our bulletin covers, on our letterhead, in our signature, on our email messages, or on our web page, commitment to community. And this past month in worship, during Sundays in October and Saturday nights, we've been hearing stories of how this commitment has affected the people of our community and our congregation. So week one, we heard from Tim Caldwell, who talked about the adventure of going on a mission trip and all the things that happen when you go on trips outside of your spaces with people who are new that you don't know. What comes out of it is stronger relationships that you've built. How you've supported teenagers in this, instrumental period of their lives, and how we go and fix houses of people who have had it damaged because of tornadoes or hurricanes. And then we heard from Nicole Adams, who talked about the opportunity that she has here in this space, in these holy places at St. John, for her to slow down and to notice the God moments occurring in the midst of her busy life, that she's so busy can't be seen. These things can't be seen until she has a still, quiet place where she finds peace. And she expressed how she has found deep spiritual healing in the places here and among our people. And then last Sunday, we heard from Marcia Smith. She was one of those people waving back to us through the camera from her home as she joined us in worship on live stream for years since the pandemic. And then finally last spring, she came here in person all by herself. And when she came in and sat in a pew and people were talking to one another, someone turned around to say hello to her, to talk to her, and to listen to her. And then she decided to come back the following weekend, and someone else who had met her that week remembered her and greeted her again. And she just talked about how she felt valued and welcomed and listened to. And she joined the church. So all these stories share a little glimpse about the difference that we make, about our commitment to community through St. John. And we have one more coming up this weekend, so I hope you come to church and hear from Brad and Rachel Uffleman a little bit of their story and how the church has affected them. All these things are the work of the church, and I believe it is the hope of the world. And I am so grateful to you. I want to thank you for all that you have done to give towards this work. I want to thank you for all the hope that you have shared through it. I want to thank you for your prayers and your participation, for remembering the purpose of the church in a world that can be pretty tough to live in these days. Thank you for your commitment to community at St. John. Now, if you're anything like me, you've got a pile of mail sitting on your dining room table that came from your mailbox that you haven't had time to go through. But I'm going to ask you to dig through that pile, if you've got one of those, and see what you can find, because there has been some mail for you, first-class mail. One of them was this brochure. Get some scissors or a letter opener to cut open the sticker, and you'll find inside a brief note from me about our fall stewardship appeal that's been launched this month. And take some time to read our ministry priorities, things that we are excited about that are going to be happening in the coming year. Now, there's another piece of mail that maybe you got last week, and that includes a letter in it, another letter from me. It's kind of a long one, but it's a good one. So I hope you take time to take a look at that. This letter is inviting you to financially support our commitment to community in 2025. And you can respond to this invitation with the commitment card that is also within the envelope. All you're saying when you fill out a commitment card and return it to church is that you want to offer adventure, peace, and acceptance. And you want to receive it too through St. John. So a little bit of introduction. If this is confusing to you and you didn't know what to do with it, let's talk about what is a commitment card. So a commitment card, when you fill it out, it's just an estimate of how much you think you can give toward the ministries of St. John in the coming year. And it has a practical purpose, and that is because this time of year and through January, we are making our plans for the future. And so we are estimating how much income we're going to have, and we're also deciding how much we need to support all these ministries. So if you don't turn this in, then we're just guessing. We're just in the dark. So no matter what you put on here, it's just really helpful for us to make plans for the future. It also has a spiritual purpose, because generous people are happy people. There are studies that show this. I want you to be a happy person as one of your spiritual guides. So you might be wondering also, how do you decide how much to give? There's 3 steps that you could take. Number 1, pray, because this is a spiritual decision. It takes faith to be generous. It takes faith to believe that God is going to take care of you no matter what. It takes faith to put your money into someone else's hands and trust that it will be used wisely. The second step, talk. Talk to your spouse in your household. Talk to your children in your household. What do they think you should be giving? What would they give if it was their choice to give to the church? And maybe talk to people that you respect who are faithful people committed to the church. People who have affected your faith and brought you to this place or to other places of worship. Find out how they're generous towards the ministries. Then the third step is to decide for yourself. This is a unique decision. It all depends on your finances, your budgets. Start by looking at what you've given to St. John before. The third quarter statements are coming out. You'll see those in the mail. Take a look at those and see where you're at, and maybe decide if you can give the same or if you can grow a little more. If you haven't given to St. John before, or if you haven't committed on a commitment card to a specific amount, I'm just asking you to start somewhere. And if you're a little nervous about it, just start small, because it all adds up, because we're giving all together. And if you are able to give a larger amount, those gifts are necessary and foundational to the ministry for the long term. Now, there's some helpful tools to decide, make your decision. There's biblical support to give a percentage of your income called a tithe, and typically that means 10%. And if you can do that, that's amazing. 10% of your income, that would be amazing. If that feels overwhelming and not within your budget with your expenses, then see what 3% looks like. What does 5% look like? And maybe if math is not your thing and percentage is a little confusing, maybe it's easier for you to think about a dollar amount. Like maybe you could give $5 a week or $50 a month, or maybe you could give $3,000 a year, split up throughout the year. Maybe you're retired and you have a fixed income that you're living on, but you have a retirement account, an IRA, and you have a qualified charitable distribution that's required, a QCD, that you can give to charity without being taxed. Well, St. John is a charity. We're a 501c3. So you might be able to give your QCD towards St. John with no penalties, no tax penalties or anything. If you're a working person, you don't have retirement funds to tap into, many employers have matching funds for charities. And like I said, St. John's a charity. So find out if your employer has matching funds to give, and if you give some money, they will match it. And that'll double the money. Double the money for the ministry. So there's lots of options. And like I said, it's all unique to you and what resources you have and what gifts you have to share. So the main goal right now that we're all working on together is to turn in the commitment card. There's an envelope here. You can put it in there. You can seal it up. And you can bring it into church this weekend when we will all bring it forward as an offering to God. And don't worry about if, it's not in stone. So if something happens, your financial situation changes in the year, you can change it. No problem. This is not meant to be a burden for you. This is meant to set you free and to partner with so many other people in the work we do. Our goal is to have 20 more cards turned in this year than we had last year. Now, in 2024, we had 202 commitment cards turned in, and in 2023, we had 221 turned in. So we're just trying to get 20 more this year, 20 more than last year, so that we're back up to how many we had received in 2023. So like I said, bring it into church. You can mail it or drop it off as an envelope, or there's a QR code where you can just do it online if that's easier for you. Dear people, when I hear the stories of how St. John has changed people's lives, I am so grateful to be joining together, putting my money in together with yours, putting my prayers in with yours, doing the work with you, the work of the church, because we need it. Our neighbors need it, and it is the hope of the world. Thanks be to God. Amen.